A ghost scaring a cat, a strange creature roaming around a house, weird creatures on the beaches of Thailand. Get comfortable. Here are the 10 terrifying creatures that caught in camera. These two men were sitting at a bar counter, having a nice chat over a drink, just having a good time. But the moment in question will quickly turn into a terrible nightmare because while they were immersed in a serious discussion, the surveillance camera detected an almost invisible silhouette resembling that of a child, which passed near them. The two men, who obviously did not realize it, continued to talk, but at one point, they were abruptly interrupted by the sudden fall of the stool that was near them. A terrifying event that left them dumbfounded because they didn't understand how the stool could have fallen without someone touching it. But if they had seen the images that the camera had recorded a few seconds earlier, they would have run away immediately. Indeed, as the two men had their backs turned, they had not seen that this famous stool was swinging before it fell as if someone was doing it on purpose. The two men quickly realized that something was wrong. They panicked and decided to cut their meeting short. They wanted to relax, but went home terrified. A man named Rick Grebenik had a surveillance camera installed on his front stoop. The camera allows him to reassure himself and to dissuade thieves from breaking into his home. He can sleep well. Well, he could, because now, it would be surprising if he could sleep again. One day, out of curiosity, Rick Grebenik wanted to check the videos captured by the camera. That's when he discovered the unthinkable. He saw a strange being, looking like an alien or a devil, approaching and roaming around his house. In any case, what was certain for him was that the creature was neither animal nor human, although it had the gait of a primate. The creature eventually left without breaking into the house, and Rick's sleep eventually went away too, because since then, he has not slept soundly for fear that this creature would resurface. It is said that since then, he decided to change house. Not bad at all. The owners of this house live a quiet and peaceful life, in the middle of a snowy forest, an idyllic setting that invites escape and that anyone would dream of. But one day, when they wanted to take a quick look at the images recorded by their surveillance camera, they came across an amazing phenomenon. They saw a shadow, with a shape similar to that of an alien or an elf, passing by their garden and leaving a footprint on the snowy ground. The figure that was clearly visible at the beginning of the sequence suddenly disappeared as if it had vanished into thin air. The owners of the house could not believe their eyes. This inexplicable and yet very real phenomenon totally destroyed them with fear. I don't know what happened to them, but I heard that they put the house up for sale. A man and his mother lived in a small house in a quiet suburb. One day, they decided to go on vacation for a few days and leave their cats home alone. They also asked a friend to check on them every morning, but when they returned from their trip, they noticed that both animals had suddenly changed their behavior. As soon as they opened the door, the cats rushed out as if to get out of the house. They decided to check the camera footage to make sure that their friend had not done anything wrong to them, but what they found was far beyond anything they could have imagined. Zooming in on the images, they discovered a strange shadow creeping down the hallway, while one of the cats, frightened by the presence of the spirit, stood on its feet. A few moments later, the door of the room in which the two felines were, closed by itself, knowing that there was no draft since everything was closed. Terrifying images that left the boy and his mother paralyzed with fear. They waited a long time before sharing this sequence on social networks for fear that they would be taken for fools. What is sure at least, is that they started to believe firmly in the existence of ghosts, proof to support it. And since this event, they have decided to take the cats on every trip. In the city of Krabi in Thailand, a group of tourists were on a boat trip in Railay Bay. At the bend of a cliff, the group was surprised to find themselves face to face with a pack of strange and intriguing creatures. The tourists wanted to approach them to identify them, except that these creatures had nothing natural. They had the hairy coat, resembled neither real monkeys nor humans, although they moved on their two legs. These strange creatures seemed to be carrying out some kind of bizarre ritual, producing vocalizations and moving in a surprising way. Our tourists, who had never come across such creatures before, were stunned at the sight of such a spectacle, especially since they did not expect to meet such a creature in such a situation. Finally, after asking their monitors what they knew about these strange creatures, the tourists received a more down-to-earth explanation. What they were seeing was in fact a staged performance. The vocals were from singer Tory Raines, and what looked like monkeys were actually actors in disguise. The scene was so well acted and the disguises so well done that the tourists had no trouble believing it. It may have been staged, but the tourists still got the fright of their lives. Of course, they were informed afterward that it was only a scene set up in order to surprise and entertain the tourists. For sure, They will never forget their escapade in Thailand. A young woman named Melissa Smith had just had a baby, a newborn that brought her so much happiness and made her forget the tragic event she went through a few months before. Indeed, Melissa had suffered a painful miscarriage. But in 2016, the young mom began to notice strange things happening in her house, so she connected it to the loss of her first baby. She was convinced that an evil spirit was roaming around her. Her baby's toys were turning on and off by themselves, she was hearing banging noises during the night, and many other paranormal occurrences. She wanted to know for sure and decided to look at the surveillance camera in her child's room. It was there that she saw one night that near her baby's crib, a face shape appeared, with eyes and a nose. The images confirmed her suspicions, there was indeed a ghost in her house. This idea paralyzed her with fear and made her realize that she had to exorcise the house at all costs. Well, now, at least, she is warned. Every time something bad happens to her, she will know who to turn to. In July 2008, on Long Island in the state of New York in the United States, 3 young women were walking on one of the beaches of the small tourist town of Montauk. They wanted to enjoy the coolness of the sea and the beauty of a bright summer day. As they were looking for a place to sit, they saw a group of people gathered around something lying on the sand. They naturally approached it to see what so many people were gathered around. It was there that they discovered some kind of dead animal lying on the sand, but no one could identify which animal it was. The animal had a rather strange appearance. It was the size of a small dog, had no hair and a tail similar to that of a canine. But what they found most bizarre was that the creature had what looked like a bird or dinosaur beak. As for its fingers, they were long and thin. The creature had a sort of strap around its leg, and its general appearance was vile and reminiscent of a strange mixture of dog, bird, or dinosaur. That day, the creature was named the Montauk Monster since no one could identify it. However, the monster has been the subject of great debate over its identification. But each time one theory was put forward, it was quickly overturned by another. Some people think that it is a turtle without a shell, although the shell of a turtle cannot be removed without damaging the animal. Others think of a dog, a pig, or a raccoon that would have spent a lot of time in the water and would have decomposed before washing up on the shore. Others believe that it was the result of a scientific experiment at the Plum Island Animal Disease Center, an official animal testing facility located near the area. Whatever it is, the scene disgusted the young women who ran away and regretted setting foot outside that day. Next time, they'll go window shopping, so there's no risk of meeting a monster. This YouTuber has the habit of taking out his bike and his GoPro to go for laps on land or bike paths. He records his bike rides thanks to his camera positioned on the helmet in order to share later his performances with his internet users. One day, our YouTuber has, as usual, put his GoPro on his head and went to ride the tracks on his mountain bike. At one point, while he had to pass through a narrow path, where he was stuck between 2 large walls on either side, a strange creature appeared from nowhere. It jumped through one of the walls, landing on the bike path on which the YouTuber was riding. The latter was riding at such a high speed that he could not avoid the accident or identify the type of animal. According to the images, the creature was walking on 4 legs like a marsupilami. It had a long tail, its body was gray and its head was quite small compared to its body. The worst thing is that when he realized it, the YouTuber had to stop, but when he turned around, the creature had immediately disappeared. Unbelievable. This strange encounter made his blood run cold. Not a minute passed before he decided to turn around and walk away. He was alone and didn't know if the creature would come back and attack him, especially since he was alone at the time. Since that day, this YouTuber does not dare to venture alone in empty lands, for fear of having another bad encounter. One day, a man was taking a leisurely stroll through the streets of his neighborhood, just to get some fresh air and stretch his legs. At one point, he saw a few meters away from him, an intriguing shadow similar to that of a robot. He turned on his camera and took a picture of this strange creature. The picture showed a kind of robot that looked like Springtrap, one of the characters from the horror video game series, Five Nights at Freddy's. The photo showed that the robot seemed to be heading towards the man. The latter quickly shared his adventure on social networks claiming that it was a real fact. It turned out some time later that this was not true and that the creature never existed. Was the photo faked or did someone really dress up as Springtrap and wander the empty streets of his neighborhood? We'll never know. In any case, the man in question has lost a lot of credibility with this incredible story. He will have to find something else to attract more people to his videos. So what do you think of these terrifying creatures? Which one has scared you the most? Have you ever experienced a strange and paranormal moment? If so, tell us your story, and if not, just tell us in the comments what you think about these weird creatures. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss any of our upcoming content.